So growing up, Rice Krispie Squares were one of my favorite treats, and they can certainly be made vegan now because there are vegan marshmallows. But I haven't been able to find vegan marshmallows with very healthful ingredients. And I really love Rice Krispie Squares. So here's a really easy way to make them. And you can make as many or as few as you want. I really don't measure. So if you want exact measurements, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe just do however much nut butter you do to the same amount of sweetener. I'm just going to show you how I do it. So I start with a bowl and I have my pure vanilla bean powder in there. It just makes it taste so much better. And then I take some nut butter and I take some date syrup. Now, I am going to be starting to play around with this thing called AB2. It's like PB2, but for almonds, to see if I can make this much lower in fat. But this is how I make them for my parties, picnics, and potlucks with our huge vegan community up here, and for my husband, Charles, who loves them, especially when I go out of town. I say, you have to eat these all because they're just too tempting for me, but they are amazing. So I take my nut butter. I am using roasted almond butter, and the only ingredient is roasted almonds. I got this at Whole Foods. They also have the machine where it comes out. What I like about this is that it's not all hard like the stuff, and this makes it just so much easier to work with. And then I just basically poured the same amount of date syrup. I don't know how much it is because it doesn't matter, because I'm going to be adding as much Rice Krispies, and these are a very healthy Rice Krispies my friend Trish turned me on to, that have the only ingredient is organic brown rice. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mix this mixture together of the date syrup, the nut butter, and the vanilla. So it's fully incorporated. And I have not tried anything but roasted almond butter yet, but if you prefer raw, I'm sure it would work fine. I think the roasted has a tiny bit more flavor. But I bet you cashew butter would work fantastic in here. And if you can do peanuts, peanut butter, of course, would be amazing. So we just want to get this nice and smooth and fully incorporated. And if you didn't want to use date syrup, I love date syrup. I love Date Lady is my favorite brand. It's organic. And I can even make my own date syrup, but I'm too lazy and don't have the time to do that now. There's a 10% discount code for Date Lady date syrup. And you can also get it at Amazon and Walmart. So now that it's all fully incorporated, I am using this cereal called the Real Cereal. It's literally one ingredient, organic brown rice. And I just pour it in. You can always add until it's all covered. When I start seeing too much of the rice, then I know I probably maybe have to stop, or just seeing the little Rice Crisps through. So sometimes you just want to do it, and then you can see, oh, look, there's a lot more. I can add more. Remember, you can add, you can't take away. I mean, there's no way to do this wrong, because if you have, a fewer Rice Crisps, you'll just have a lot more of this, nut butter date syrup goodness. And if you have too much, well, I don't know. I can't imagine having too much. It does get pretty engulfed. Now, I like to put these in the freezer for them to set up so that they cut very easily, but I also like to store them there because I got to tell you, they taste better cold and crunchy. They don't really set up at room temperature. So, and they don't get that hard in the freezer. So let's just do a little bit more. That should be enough. Regular Rice Krispies I'm sure they have sugar and salt in them. So, if you can have that stuff, go ahead and use it. And if you don't want to use date syrup, I would imagine, maple syrup would work. I find that maple syrup is much sweeter than date syrup, though. So I really like the subtleness and the flavor of the date syrup. It's the only sweetener I've been using for over 20 years, or dates, date paste, and occasionally date syrup. So you can say when it starts to get really stiff and hard to mix, you probably have enough. I love things that are crunchy. And of course, sweet is always a bonus. So now, how do you put these in a pan? So I like using silicone because nothing sticks, and I like using a square silicone pan. And if you don't even want to have to clean that, just take a piece of parchment paper and then push it in. And then when it's ready, you don't even have a pan to clean. If I'm making this for kids, or if I want single servings, I've used this silicone pan that is a muffin pan that I use to make Javant's millet buns. So these work great for single circles. And silicone comes in so many different shapes and sizes. I've also made you can make little stars, for the 4th of July, and they have heart-shaped ones as well. So now it's nice and sticky. You can use food service gloves or wet hands and fingertips. And now you just pour it into your pan. It's so easy. And it's like ready in no time. So if you have company come at the last minute and unexpected, you can have a dessert ready. Now, if you really want to make these decadent, especially if you were doing it with peanut butter instead of almond butter, what you could do is put some chocolate chips in. I bet that would be amazing. And they have date sweetened chocolate chips now. So I just want to press this into a square. I do have a few in the freezer. I can show you what the finished product looks like. But you don't have to make this much. If you just have a hankering, you just use, a couple of tablespoons of nut butter, a couple of tablespoons of date syrup. You can do the same thing. Then you don't have to have these around. So easy. So much easier than melting marshmallows. Like I remember making Rice Krispie squares. Anybody remember the Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory? Oh boy, did they have Rice Krispie squares with white chocolate and milk chocolate and dark chocolate, peanut butter. They were amazing. So that's all you have to do. Very simple to make. And let me show you what the finished ones look like. So I have a few left in a Ziploc bag that I keep in the freezer. I keep it in a Tupperware when I have it. But I just make these into little small squares. They're nice and crunchy, but not so crunchy that you would break your teeth or anything. And I'm telling you, I served these at a potluck and they were gone in less than 5 minutes. These are addictive. They're delicious. 4 ingredients, easy to make. Kids can make these. No oven required. My favorite recipes are one where I don't have to turn the oven on. Because let me tell you, I get so busy, I forget. If I'm not using the Breville, which reminds me and turns itself off, I burned last year's Thanksgiving dinner. So I hope you'll try these crispy Rice squares. Take care, everybody. Best of health to you.